Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about the comics that we are reading and that we like. It's something we wanted to do on Sunday. We're kind of changing our format here, and we're very happy to have you all with us. Of course, as with most of our FanSpeak shows, you can find all those links down below. You can contact us on our Facebook page, and we'd love for you to join us and get involved. There's a lot of people are starting posting more and more, and that is exciting because that's what we want to see. And thank you for all of you guys who are doing that. We also have the links for me. You can get a hold of me on Facebook and Twitter, and you can tell me to put you on the show because this is FanSpeak, and we want the fans to be able to speak and come out and tell us what you think. And of course, you can also contact me if you want to be on the fan edition of Drawn and Quartered. But beyond that, we do have a format where this is our second or third time we're doing it, and I'm going to let Denali explain that to you guys.
Right. So one of our format is that we'll have, the guys, whoever's on the panel, kind of give a list of what is being read by them and kind of talk briefly about it to get you guys interested to see, hey, this is what we're reading. Seems interesting to us. Maybe you'll like it too, to kind of promote things that we love or like and be positive. We always talk a lot about negatives and what's wrong, but we also want to promote, what stories we are enjoying or find interesting enough, hey, check it out, tell us what you think so we can start that dialogue. So today we have Chester and Todd with us, and I'll begin with my first selection. I mentioned this last week that a lot of my picks were going to be Wonder Woman, since I've been reading a lot of Wonder Woman. Justice League Dark. This is Wonder Woman Rebirth by Greg Rucka, who's the writer, and Liam Sharp, who's the artist. And it's kind of interesting because they tell two parallel stories that from each issue. Yeah, so there's two parallel stories going on, which part of it I like, part of it I hate. The parallel story are issue based, so you have story A with the odd number issues and story B with all the even number issue until they kind of combine at a later issue. So it's kind of weird going back and forth of it, but it starts making sense as you get further along.
Okay, all right.
In the run.
Stop what you're doing. Stop what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Stop what you're doing. All right, I see what I did wrong. I see my mistake. All right. I'm going to. Okay, I gotta back up. I see. I made a mistake.
I didn't know if I should say that out loud if we were taping the show. I was like, nobody told me.
It's okay. I'm good. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. We're doing a little bit of different format the past few weeks here on FanSpeak's Sunday show. What we're doing now is we're talking about comic books that we love, guys. We have a lot of times we go into things and we talk about the various news and such that's going on, and it can be quite negative sometimes, but we also love comics, and we want to talk about that. So that's what we are doing today. And we do have a lot of very interesting comics to show you that we're reading and enjoying, and hopefully it might give you guys some ideas, but we also like to hear from you. And keep in mind, as usual, that down in the chat we have all of our links, and we have our FanSpeak on Facebook. We'd love for you to go over there and be part of that. Of course, our FanSpeak page is growing and growing, and we have a lot of people getting involved, putting up their reviews, the comic books they're buying, their ideas, news, what have you. And it's really great. We're really enjoying all the interaction from everybody, and thank you for doing that. And if you're not part of FanSpeak, please go over and join that with the link and be part of that conversation. Of course, we also have the links to me on the Facebook and Twitter, and it's very simple. And of course, if you're not seeing the links, you're on a phone or something. I am Chester C. Busby III, and you can find me under that name. And of course, if you want to be on the show, this is FanSpeak after all. We want to have everybody come and get involved and give their opinions and such. Please do so. Also, if you are interested in being an artist on the Drawn Recorded Fan Edition, that's another way to get in touch with me, so you can get involved in that process that we have to go on. So, hello, Denali. How you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. I saw we're rushing in for this show, but everything's cool. We're all cool. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. And Todd is telling me echo, echo. How is that possible, Todd?
No, no, that was a joke in the chat. I was saying like the chat's empty, so I was going hello, like it's like a big.
Okay.
You
But we're
get it?
not
It was like
echoing, right? Because we've been having trouble
no,
with
no,
that. So thanks,
no,
Todd.
no,
That
not.
was very helpful of you. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry. It was
That's all
just a.
right. So how you doing today, Todd?
I'm doing really good. Considering.
Considering what?
Just considering the kind of day I've had today.
Oh, really? Oh, that's too bad to hear.
In the
Uh,
chat, I was
Yeah.
saying like the chat's empty. No
yeah.
biggie.
Oh, well, no, this is unexpected, and of course, we are we're planning on doing this a little bit later today, but I do a preview show on Sunday with Todd, and that ended a little early, so we thought we'd kind of rush it out here to you guys and try to be on as 8 p.m. as best we can. So we're very happy to have you guys over here and joining us for this. I'm going to go ahead and share this out myself, and of course, I invite you to do the same. Hitting that like button and subscribe, as we always say, is of course very useful to the analytics here. But hitting that share button is what gets everybody to come on over and be part of the show. And I'm just going to put this out again, which is going to confuse people. But nevertheless,
It never hurts to share, share, share. Sharing is caring.
oh my goodness.
But yeah, so kind of what Chester was saying while he's doing some back end things. Yeah, this show is really to begin some dialogue, to talk, to kind of geek out. We talk a lot about stuff we don't like. We criticize a lot of things that we see. This is an opportunity to kind of show what we're reading, what we kind of like, what stories we kind of like, or love, or very enthusiastic. Talk to kind of the guys and gals, our friends, and which includes you on the chat, and also friends here in the panel about these are the books that we're reading. Check them out. It might be interesting. I like this where the story is right now, and maybe it might catch your interest. So give it a test drive, so to speak. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah. But I do have to say from my part though, I'm not reading a lot of new stuff. I do tend to read the older stuff because the new stuff just isn't catching my interest, but which is unfortunate. But we do have a lot of
mhm.
books coming out from the indie revival soon, and I think I'm definitely going to be talking about some of those. And I believe Denali will want to as well, and probably Todd too, because coming up here soon, we should be getting a flood of books here in the next few months, shouldn't we?
Right.
Yeah,
Hopefully. Yeah, that's a hopeful. Finger cross. No more life issues, delay, printer, technicality, other life events. Cross fingers, and hopefully they come out when they come out.
true. That is true.
um,
All right. Well,
um,
let's go ahead, guys, and just jump into the books we want to talk about here. And this one I think is probably quite universal, but we're going to talk about it anyway. So let me just start out and share this screen with everybody, and I come over here and share with the panel as well, of course. And yeah, Conan. Now, I was very, very fortunate because I got to go over with Brad and I got to actually see this before it actually came out, and I'm not able to do that with you guys right now. So there seems to be a problem, but that's all right. We can just look on the screen. It's just the image anyway. But the Conan book came out, and I was over with Brad, and I do the reviews with him on Wednesday of new books, so I got to read this a little bit beforehand. But I really liked it. It was a really good book. It's Conan for sure. It's written well. The art is really good. I mean, it's a style. But it's certainly something I'm interested in. Now I got a couple covers up here, and they came out with many, many covers for this, of course. And I do believe the one that's sitting on the right is with Conan sitting there with a sword overhead. I believe this was the main cover. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I think this all went really well for a good start. And I know some people are concerned because of the writer. Yeah, and YouTube, no notification, Dave. Ha ha ha. It's always like that, don't you know? But
make
anyway,
sure
we're
you hit the bell notification just in case.
yeah,
And or always follows us on Twitter because we always tweet it out when we start our shows.
that's right. Yeah, that is true. But nevertheless, um, this Conan book I really enjoyed. Now I know Denali, you read it. Did you read it, Todd? The new Conan from Marvel?
No, I have not read it yet.
Okay, but Denali, go ahead and tell us what did you think about it?
I enjoyed it. I kind of temper my expectations due to what's been going on with recent editorial decision and everything. But it did feel like Conan. I did feel the passion from Jason Aaron, who's the writer
Hmm.
uh, of the series. It was typical Conan, him drinking wine, making love with women, killing evil creatures or people or things. Um, and it was a solid first issue, so I'm kind of intrigued of where they're going to go with this.
Yeah,
Um, so like I always say to you in private and to in public, I always give everybody 10 issues, to see how it goes. And
absolutely. I do the same thing. Some people do five, but I'm kind of with you. I'll give them a 10. I'll give them or 10 to 12. I'll give them a year run and see how it goes. I'm like that. What about you, Todd? Do you have patience? I mean, obviously, it's the book's got to catch your attention, but beyond catching your attention, do you have patience for a whole year, or are you a shorter amount of time that you will allow them to waste your time and money?
Well, no, the passion that Jason has talked about doing this book
Hmm.
has basically sold me on wanting to read it. He's he took a picture of his bookshelf, and he had all the Conan omnibuses from Dark Horse and all the masterworks from Marvel and stuff. So this guy was the easy pick, and he's got to have some good stuff cooking. So I mean, he's definitely not a bad writer at all.
No.
So I'll stay with it. I know he'll find a groove, and he'll certainly churn out some really good stories.
Yeah,
Remember
no.
now, when we were kids, Conan you could read in like 5 minutes. So it was never a well written book. It was always a well drawn book, but you could read it. It was like the fastest book that you could read in that day. You know.
Yeah, well, now, are you talking about the Marvel run or are you talking about Dark Horse?
No, I'm talking about early Marvel, John
Yeah,
Buscema.
yeah, yeah, yeah. See, though
Yeah, they were fast reads.
I didn't care for those at all, dude. Didn't like them. Didn't like them. It wasn't. I now I've read Conan. I've read all the stuff from Howard. But when I didn't like those Marvel comics at all. And then when Dark Horse came out with their run, it just floored me. And that's what I am comparing this to. I'm saying if you want to come out, you better be as good or better than Dark Horse. That's the way I'm looking at it. And so far, so good. It started out really nice. Let's see if it can stay that way. And I have my fingers crossed. I want this book to be awesome because it's Conan. I mean, come on. I'm just really, really surprised that Marvel let it happen because we know all the silly politics that go on, and Conan is the opposite of what they hate him. Conan is got to be one of the most hated characters from a certain political point of view, right? So I'm really happy the way it started, and I hope it continues that way. Let's look over here and see if the chat has any opinion. Well, Thundero seems to think YouTube is trash. Well, I don't disagree. Add notifications. Yes, they do a horrible job with that, and all we can hope is it gets better in the future. A lot of people seem to accuse them of doing things intentionally, but I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it's just their system is wonky and they don't have their algorithms set up straight because they keep messing with the algorithm to deal with things they either have to deal with or political things, which we've certainly seen them do. But nevertheless, we could just keep going and doing what we're doing, guys. And you guys know we try to be on 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day. Today, I was actually planning on doing a 9 p.m., but I finished what I was doing early, so we came on a bit late. But we're happy to be here and happy to have you guys with us, of course. Cape Blonde says, and you are a garbage man. Okay, Thundero, there you go. Fights started. Excellent. Derek Taylor says Chuck Dixon did an excellent job on Savage Sword of Conan. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't really care for the Marvel run before. To be fair, I love Chuck Dixon, but I just wasn't a fan. What about you, Janelle? Did you read the old Marvel stuff? Did you like it?
compared to the
Dark Horse.
um, Dark Horse one, it was vastly inferior.
Yeah.
However, I picked up the next issue, well, the first issue of the rebooted Marvel first volume of Conan the Barbarian, which is called Conan the Adventurer, which is one of the ones that I picked for today's to talk about, which is written by Roy Thompson, which is following the canceled um, Conan the Barbarian after several hundred, like 105 issues. I can't remember, give or take. And it's, it was a center fair where the art was kind of hard to kind of figure out who was Conan in there. But once you got it, you started hearing it. But Roy Thomas had a lot of dialogue going on, and it was dealing with Conan and one of his clansmen as they fight through, an army and all that good Conan stuff
All right.
and
Well,
surviving
let me
and
bring that up
giving
and just share
fanfare.
that. Here's the Conan the Adventure that he's talking about right here on the left-hand side. And it may be reversed on your side, but you guys can see it quite easily. Yeah, no, Thomas is. I like a lot of his stuff. I mean, he did all the Union Jack, and he did a lot of stuff. What was the? I can't remember the book that the Invaders. Is that what it was? The Invaders. I think it was the Invaders, but
Mm,
yeah, he's done a lot of great stuff, and he's a name I don't hear enough. We should hear more about him because he's
right.
a really good writer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to kind of compare, you know, from the last time they did a Conan story to this current one.
Hmm.
So I chose Conan the Adventurer because I was continuing the Barbarian, but under a new title. And then now we're doing Conan the Barbarian, but this is dealing with his death. So I was kind of trying to do it. And so far, that both issues kind of got me intrigued. So I might continue reading both of the series with Roy Thomas and seeing how it goes.
Oh, there you go. Now, I've mentioned this before, and I don't want to get into it. We want to move on to the next one here, but
Mhm.
what do you guys think? We'll start with Todd. What do you think about the idea of actually killing Conan, though?
See, that just smacks of some kind of gimmick, so I'm
It
not
does,
so
doesn't it?
sure.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, when
I
you
agree.
say that, like, why would you wait this long to get the property back, right? And then you're actually, I don't know if people know this, there's actually two books,
Yeah.
the, that'll be coming out a month. So why would you wait that long? You're promoting it. You did a hell of a job. You made a bunch of videos. I don't know if you guys saw the videos,
Yeah.
and now you're gonna kill it. I don't think that smacks of like a reach or grab
Clickbait,
Right.
maybe.
or a reach
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
a
goodness gracious. Yeah. No, we'll have to see. I think they're using the language in a tricky manner. They're being tricksy. I
right.
think. But
Right.
actually, the second book I will be reading and doing a review with Brad this Wednesday on Pencil for Life, on those new books day comics day that we do. So I will be reading the next one as well, and hopefully it impresses me as much as this one did. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our next book. And since I have it sitting up here next to Conan the Adventurer, Denali, Batman
Uh
Beyond, Rebirth.
right. And this is Rebirth. So this is sort of a continuation from the anime series. I mean, there's a couple issues between hand, but they kind of rebooted and redone everything. So this series with Rebirth is kind of following on with the anime series of Batman Beyond, but including the new appearances and new information such as Damian Wayne and some other characters that's been in the rebooted series. So kind of including that. This is written by Dan Jerkins, and you know, writer of Superman and everything. So his writing is solid. I'm interested. I'm invested in the characters. It kind of seems a little bit formulaic with some of the stories, and some of the characters seems to come from the past, but it's a Batman book through and through. So I've been enjoying that as well.
Hmm. What do you think about Batman Beyond here, the Rebirth, and specifically, Todd?
Um, Batman. You know what? I don't know. I like the character, right? I like the fact that you're sort of a legacy character is continuing in
Hmm.
a, I like that. But it's honestly never been a book I've ever read. The cartoon was amazing.
Yeah.
The crank, the sort of crotchety old Batman who was like in his 70s or 80s was awesome. And I know this sort of follows that, and they've actually introduced some different characters and expanded this universe a little bit. Um, but I've honestly never read a book. I know it's pretty much drawn pretty well. I know Bernard Chang did a bunch of issues, and then the guy on it now, Brett Booth, did some issues. I forget who's on it now, but it's never had like a bad artist. I just don't know how well it's done because it has had a bunch of #1s. So you're on volume whatever now. It's probably on volume 4 now.
Hmm. Yeah, well,
Right.
now me personally, the Todd mentioned the animation. Now, my kids watched that and they loved it, and I watched it with them. Of course, I never let my children watch something that I wasn't watching and paying attention to. Right. So, and I thought, oh, it's pretty cool. I like the concept. As he said, with Legacy, you got a young guy, and Batman is basically creating the next generation Batman. It's a wonderful idea. And I did buy some books back then for the kids to read, and they enjoyed them. But I haven't read Rebirth since my kids have been gone. Excuse me, Batman Beyond since my kids have been off to university and stuff. So I haven't read any of the Rebirth stuff. I don't know anything about this, but I do know I like Batman Beyond in general. So I'm assuming it's probably fun.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And the artist currently is Brett Booth. Like I
Brad
think you
Booth.
mentioned that earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, you have
that's currently
Jurgens
on the
on it
title.
as well. So
Right.
yeah. All right,
So
cool. Let's move over here and let's go to one of Todd's choices here. I think we'll go to one of Todd's next, and this one right here is the next one is one of mine. Todd, tell us about Long John Silver.
All right, Long John Silver is sort of a continuation story. Basically, there's this aristocratic couple that find this lost city that you can go ahead and pronounce for me.
Let's see, that would be Guyana Kappa, Guyana Capac, Guyana Capac,
It's,
Guyana Capac.
so they are in need of an expedition, and they end up being introduced to Long John Silver. And of course, this gets really rowdy, and there's a mutiny and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, so this is a continuation story. This is Long John Silver, like 3 years later after Treasure Island.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's cool. So it is tied to that old story. That's nice.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely a really fantastic looking book.
Hmm.
Matthew I don't know, I hope I'm gonna say his name right, but Matthew LaFlay was the artist, and
It's Laufrey, but close enough.
Laufrey,
Hmm.
yeah, and so his work was just stunning. Sometimes it would be a whole painted double page spread where the line work was really covered up over the paint, and then inside, you'd have inside the ship, you'd see a lot of nice, really brushwork and ink work.
So you're telling us
It's
that the
beautiful.
interior looks like the cover. It's the
In
same
many
art?
cases, yeah. You know how in Dark Knight, like when he would do a splash page, it was a little bit better than everything else. Do you remember that?
Sure.
It sort of had a certain quality to it. He does a little bit of this.
I
That
see.
every so often there's a beautiful, like a waterfall or something that he gives a little bit extra painted quality to it.
Mm.
And so that, like I said, when the characters are talking, whatever, usually it's I'm gonna use the long shot again. Usually it's the long shot, and that's usually what looks a little bit more painted
Hmm.
and um, different quality to it. Like I'm not saying his artwork is killer all the way through. Don't get me wrong, but there was just an amp up on certain moments and beats that he wanted to hit.
I see. Well, the cover is amazing, and I actually had several to choose from. I chose this one, but it's really good looking cover art. I mean, I love it. Now, is this? I've never heard of this before. Is this? Where's this book coming from exactly?
It's a European book that
Okay,
eventually now has been published. Where it's I'm not gonna say it's published here, but you can get it translated here.
I
So you can
see.
order this on Amazon. Um,
Now, I'm
but yeah,
assuming.
this.
I'm assuming by the names I'm seeing here, this is from one of the French comic book companies.
Absolutely, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And they usually come out with these books first in French, and then maybe almost a year later they get translated.
yeah. Well, now
And this,
I would suggest to everybody listening, if you haven't taken any time to go look at some of the French comic book publishing companies and see what they have to offer, you should. The Italians also have some Spanish. I even think there might be some German ones, but there is some very impressive stuff in Europe. And I think as Americans, we kind of we can forget that. We can forget that that's a thing. And we shouldn't, because there is some really good comics coming out of there. It's particularly in France. France has a very healthy and affluent comic book industry over there. The French love comic books, and there's some really cool stuff. Absolutely. What do you
Yeah,
think,
and
Denelli?
I think one of the reasons why European has a little bit more robust, and French in particular, is that they follow creators instead of the actual work.
That's true.
It's more creative driven industry instead of creator driven
Yeah,
industry. So,
a la
and I think that
Mobius, right?
a la Mobius.
Yeah.
So that's why you have creators always passionate about the works and not seeing it as a day job compared over here. While they want to draw something, they won't give up, the best ideas for the property because they want to do it for their own series or
Hmm.
their own, IP.
Yeah.
No, it looks very interesting. If the cover is indicative of what's inside, that's beautiful. There's been times that I felt kind of duped when you see a fantastic cover art when I was younger, and then you go inside and it's nothing like the cover art, and I'm like, why couldn't the book be throughout the same,
Hmm.
kind of thing? And I guess it's one of those comic American comic things that they do kind of to draw the eyes, but it's kind of false advertising at the same time. But no, it'd be,
Yeah.
it'd be kind of cool to check it out as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of my favorite series coming out of Europe, and France in particular, was the Elric series that came out, and I was very happy because I got through it the French. I mean, I can read French to a point, but it's not the best thing. So when they finally came out with those in English, I was very happy. Because it's hard in the original language, seeing as I'm not a native speaker, but. I was very happy, and it sounds like there's a lot of these things being translated into English, and that is very cool. And I didn't put it up here today. I didn't think about it, but the Elric series is really, really, really good. So I'm definitely going to check this out. I haven't read it. Denelli hasn't read it, but the Long John Silver, guys. Are you a big fan of pirate comics or pirate stories in general there, Denelli?
It depends on the thing. I haven't read anything comic related. Um, the last time I read something piracy or Caribbean like would be the Count of Monte Cristo.
Oh, wow.
Cristo.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's a good story. All right, cool.
yeah.
Well, let's move over to the one I put up here. I've been doing of course, I'm busy with a lot of stuff like we all are, but I have been going back and I just chose this randomly, this image, but I have been going back and reading the Chris Claremont New Mutants myself, which is kind of interesting because this is Denali's choice.
Yeah. So I've been picking it up. I've been reading the first couple issues. I can kind of see why I'm surprised it didn't get. Um, there's been things going on there that it kind of was not drawing me, but they keep saying that the best part and it really gets his groove on is around issue 2028.
Hmm.
But if I hadn't known that, I think I would have been dropping this like the first 10 issues. This wouldn't have been something that would be picking up, but I could see the potential in there for these early issues. They're trying new things, experimenting in new things, being teenagers and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Kind of
I've
deal.
been reading it off and on myself because they had been talking about that New Mutant movie coming out, and then they sounds like they're still going to go forward with it, which I still not sure if it will. But I just kind of like, oh, maybe I should go read it again. So that's for the past so many months, I've actually been reading some of this again. And of course, I grew up with it, and I read it when it first came out, and anything Claremont touched, but yeah, it's actually a lot of fun, and I guess I understand it gets better around the late 20s into 30 issues, but I don't know. I liked it from the beginning, to be honest with you. It's a lot of fun. Did you ever read this here, Todd?
No, I haven't.
Oh, I see. Yeah, this is good stuff. I definitely recommend it. I guess it's just ironic that we're both reading the same thing at the same time. But yeah, over here I see in the chat, John Diller came in and he says the Long John Silver book looks good. Yeah, it does, dude. It looks really good. Derek Taylor says New Mutant Special Edition. Love, love, love. Heart, heart, heart. As Guardian Wars and my favorite Marvel team. I have a copy. I had Art Adams sign. Ooh, nice, dude. Good for you, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah, and if you're interested in talking about what you're reading, don't hesitate to hit us up, and tell us, hey, Denali or Chester, we want to be on this show, to talk about the comics we're reading.
please.
So,
Yeah. We'd love to have you guys in here, man. Derek also says I was 9 when the New Mutant series started. Yeah. Cool, dude. Well, that whole stuff coming out of the 80s into early 90s was really great, man. There was some amazing stories. Of course, Chris Claremont is a legend for a reason. In many ways, he saved Marvel. I mean, with his X-Men book, and yeah, so this is good reading. You guys should go back and read it. It's certainly old school, but that has that charm as well. I definitely like it. Now, move on to the next one here, and I only have one offer today, other than Conan, because I read that as well. My offer is this one over here, which will bring it to another Todd one as well. But mine is Excalibur, another old book that I'm rereading. I loved Excalibur. I got that from issue 1, and I read it continuously. And I'm just going back and rereading it. And interestingly enough, most of the reading I do this day is digital, but I actually have these, so I have been reading these in hand, which is nice. Now, Excalibur, of course, is an old book, but did you guys ever read Excalibur?
no, I haven't.
No. What about you, Todd?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
Remember early on it was Alan Davis.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, Alan Davis, his inker was Mark Farmer. Oh man, and Alan Davis is like one of those guys that can draw anything from any angle and makes your iconic view of what it should look like.
Yeah.
Like he always did a really good Wolverine, or he always did a really good all the X-Men, or all these characters like what's the guy's name? Oh, Captain Britain. These guys, that's when you see him in your head, a lot of times you see Alan Davis because he was sort of this clean, very brush style, nice lush lines in his figures and stuff. So it sort of sticks with you after a while. Like there's something about cleanliness and really good art. And then again, of course, when somebody can draw from, the character from any angle possible, and he never looks like he's fudging it, there's something to that.
Oh yeah, no, the art is really good actually, and so is the writing. The thing with Excalibur that I really like is I'm not going to tell you anything about it because if you haven't read it, go read it. It's a really good series, and it's very different than a lot of the other stuff we see. And another thing I would mention about it is I really, really, really don't like the way they are writing Captain Britain currently, the past so many years. I don't like it at all. If you want to see Captain Britain written correctly and cool, go read Excalibur. That's would be my suggestion. But anyway, that's an oldie but a goodie. Let's go to something that's current, I believe, right? Todd, Sacred Creatures.
Yeah, Sacred Creatures is written by Klaus Johnson and drawn by Pablo Grimaldi. And this is actually the first, well, maybe not the first, because I don't know, maybe he's written some stuff along the way. But as far as his own book, this is his own. They're like both co-creators. This is the first time he's written anything that I've ever read. that I remember him writing. The artist is, again, a nice, real clean, realistic style. Everything, like, always, there's always backgrounds, and he's never skimping on anything like that. Um, he's really actually he's a really nice guy. Maybe we can get him on here, but
Oh, we
his
should
his
try.
work is excellent work, and
No.
you'd be really surprised. Now, Klaus Johnson does do some of the, like, flashbacks. Like, remember, he used to draw Batman. He's drawn Daredevil and stuff like that. I mean, he's always been Frank Miller's inker. But yeah, he does some flashbacks in this, so you get some of his artwork too. And this is a master class in how to do it right, because this book is superbly colored, superbly written, and dynamically well drawn.
Well, now this is an image book, which I have never heard of. What about you, Janelli? You ever read this?
I haven't heard. No, I never read that
Well,
one.
can you, Todd? Can you give us a quick synopsis? What is the just quickly? What's the story about?
Well, it's sort of like a magic story, and there's the location is obviously New York, but there's a lot of strange things that happen, and there's some really strange characters. Without giving too much away, this is definitely in the realm of, I would say, almost like The Magicians, but not bad, but well written. You know what I mean? There's
Oh
some
yeah,
supernatural going on. There's some demonology that's also in this.
and this is a period piece by the look of it.
Right.
Oh, nice. I like those. Cool. All right. Has anybody over here in the chat had read this or any of the other things? You guys feel free to comment and let us know. We'll certainly read it and interact with you. But sacred creatures, man, cool. All right. Let's jump on to our next book to talk about, and this is an interesting choice here from Denelli. Go ahead, Denelli. Which one would you like to start with? Brave and the Bold, Wonder Woman, Batman, or would you like to just start with the Rebirth Wonder Woman?
I'll start with the Brave and the Bold Batman and Wonder Woman. So this is also written and drawn by Liam Sharp. And the first issues and story has to do with the fairy folk, the Irish fairy folks,
Mhm.
and the Kudonos is I think I mispronounced the name of that deity. Comes
Ser
in and summon
that is
huh?
Cernunnos
Sarah Nunes.
or Caernunnos, depending on where you
Sarah
are.
Nunes. Okay. Sarah Nunes comes and summons Wonder Woman to kind of broker a peace between the fairy folks because I guess there wasn't a lasting treaty. Um, and that's basically the bulk. And somehow minds get summoned into that realm as well. So he's left kind of like there from the first kind of issue. So it's kind of interesting. It's dealing with Irish mythology, with the fairy folks, and all, and it lends to the magic and to Wonder Woman, which is one of her strengths,
Sure.
because a lot of people don't know what does Wonder Woman do. There's not really knowledge. Well, she handles a lot of the magic portion, deities, the magics
Mhm.
of the DC universe, kind
Well,
of deal.
she is magical by creation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people don't know.
Oh well, now they do, I guess. But
Absolutely.
yeah, no, actually, that sounds extremely interesting to me. I'm going to have to go read this book because I love Irish mythology, of course. And yeah, I think I'll enjoy that. I'll have to go read that one. You read this one, Todd?
So what was it again?
The Brave and the Bold with Wonder Woman, basically.
Oh yeah, Liam Neeson, or Liam Liam Sharp. Yeah, yeah. Um, this was sort of a comeback to mainstream comics for him, and he sort of tweaked his artwork a little bit because he was sort of heading in a direction that was sort of dirty and grungy, and had a lot of unclean inked lines and stuff. But he kind of pulled it back and cleaned it up a little bit, and this was actually a really good book. I actually did read it because it it was a shock to see them pick him for Wonder Woman, because his women weren't known as the best, but he really did pick up his game and drew really beautiful women in this.
Wow, I'm definitely gonna check it out now. Now, Denali, does the cover, which is a beautiful, amazing cover, does it match the interior?
Yes, because the cover is drawn by Sharp as well. So both the cover and interior is by the same artist and
Oh,
writer.
awesome. How nice is that to say? But why, actually, for me, it would be, why do I have to ask the question? It's just, no, it kills me how often the cover does not even closely match the interior, and it's really, really annoying. So that's
Yeah,
good to hear, man. Because I love that cover. It is beautiful. It's a wonderful
yeah,
Sir Nunes they got there.
right,
Awesome. I'm gonna read it myself. So
right,
hopefully you guys will too. Dave comes over here and he says, "I will find you and I will draw you." I don't know what that means, Dave, but promises, promises. All right, dude.
right,
Let's continue over here to Wonder Woman Rebirth, and I don't know if I like that cover at all. I mean, even a little.
right. So this is also drawn. I'm not sure about the cover, but this is written by Greg Rucka and drawn by Liam Sharp.
Again.
Um, yep. So both of these, well, both of the artists is on these two titles, understandably. I believe this is a variant cover uh, for Wonder Woman. I think his actual interior cover of Wonder Woman is actually really good.
Hmm.
It looks more to the one on the left
Mm.
than this one right here.
Well, this one I hated is,
Um,
but they do that though. They do that. We were just talking about this earlier on the show with Pencil for Life's preview show with Peter Samedi. Um, they what they will do is they will put out a cover, and that cover will be low quality, and they do it intentionally. And then the store will have to order a certain amount of books to get the alternate cover. Now with DC, they usually do A and B. They're not as bad as Marvel. I mean, but they can be.
right,
But if you
right,
want to get the really good art, these stores have to order a ton of books, which they can't afford, right? Now I suppose in a
right,
collector market that's a good thing, but I mean for me that's insidious. You're putting out intentionally a bad cover to force the comic book stores to order more. I hate that.
yeah. So, and the variant covers have been actually pretty nice and solid.
Yeah.
I chose Wonder Woman because I wanted to figure out what was going on because a lot of Wonder Woman has been tied to Justice League Dark, and one of the issue storylines had been connected to the Wonder Woman Rebirth. Issue 56 is the Witching Hour Part 2, which is tied to the Witching Hours in Justice League Dark. So to get that, you had to go to that storyline. I was like, okay, something's built up to that to get Wonder Woman into Justice League Dark. So I started reading Rebirth to kind of get through that, and I found out that the odd number issue is storyline A, and then you have a storyline B with the even number of issue, which kind of threw me from a loop. And if I, and I was like, why did they do that? And I kind of get it after a while because then they start merging that these two issues, these two things that's going on simultaneously. It's kind of giving a background story that lends to each other. But reading it, on a monthly basis, as it was, and it seemed disjointed until you start reading it all together
Mm.
and kind of figuring out what the story is going on.
Which can be a
But that would have
problem. Yeah. Well,
right.
what do you think, Todd? You ever read Wonder Woman Rebirth?
Yeah, here and there. It's, again, it's had some good and bad. It's had some really good artists and some really bad ones. Steven Segovia. There's been a couple of females that I forget her name. Lupacino, Emanuela Lupacino. Really
Hmm.
good art. But again, they were like, I think it was twice a month, and sometimes that's a bit much. Because you're not getting one artist, you're getting one every other book, and then there was a lot of other art changes in it. So sometimes the Rebirth books for me suffered from that. I mean, look at them. Some of them are on issue 50, and they're only 2 years in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't I don't know if I have that much time to read comics. I used
No,
to,
no.
but what I mean. But these have not looked bad. I'll tell you that the Wonder Woman books that have not looked bad. They're really some of the best coloring in the DC comics. It's a little more natural and uses a very painterly style in a lot of Wonder Woman books. They don't do the heavy cuts and grads and stuff. So I give them that they know that women should look a certain way. When she's okay, it's really skin. When you're showing skin, there's a definite quality that you should have to skin that you would have if somebody's wearing spandex. You see all the spandex books and the Superman books and stuff. They look hyper realistic, and then they're cut and graded with all this fancy coloring. But Wonder Woman has sort of had and held sort of a painterly quality, and that's smart, very smart. It really helps the art look a certain way. I mean, especially if you look at Liam Sharp's, that's a painterly quality, really good stuff.
That's interesting. I don't think I have actually ever read a Wonder Woman book in my life. Because I've never found her very interesting. If it's just simply a female point of view, well, I'd much rather read a Miss Marvel or Storm or She-Hulk or something like that. Of course, that doesn't really matter. I've read her in some of the Justice League and stuff like that. I see here, but I don't think I've actually ever read a Wonder Woman book, so I don't know.
Yeah. I would start with the Brave and the Bold and Chester, because it has a lot of things that you would like and you would
Hmm.
find interesting. And it's only 6 issues, so it wouldn't be too much of a investment
I'm definitely
compared to,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm definitely gonna check that one out. But a Wonder Woman solo book, I don't know. But
yeah.
maybe I'm,
Uh,
you know.
no, and what's kind of interesting is it's because we have writers like Bendis and Tom King on, two of my favorite superhero, which is Batman and Superman. It kind of been pushing me away from those characters and actually searching out other characters and experimenting with the other characters as well.
Yeah, badly.
And right, so you could say positively because their writings on those popular characters are actually incentivizing me to my comfort level and look for a woman that I would normally have not read
Hmm,
or read
it's
a
interesting.
that I normally would have not read, kind of
Well,
deal.
seeing as Booster's not here, I'll do it for him. Bendis! You know, just want to keep that trend going, tradition and all. Um,
Right.
cool. All right, let's move on to the next set of comics. I see Model 3 is in here. Good evening, sir. Good evening. Joshua Hughes, our most favorite troll, is in here and says, Hail Raven. Of course, indeed. Let's see, what did we not cover? We covered all of that. And wow, we actually have covered all our books today. Awesome.
Right.
Well,
Well, uh, and we got 5 minutes to spare. Awesome.
we do. How perfect was that? All right, guys.
Yeah.
Well, what we really need you to do is to tell us, what do you think about this show? On the weekends, we've kind of changed. We were doing the news every single solitary day, but we decided we want our weekends to be a little different, to have a change up. And of course, on Saturday, we're doing occasionally once a month we do have the fan speak on that, but mainly we're doing Bunny Vision movie night, and that is a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying that, although it is kind of a niche thing. And
Mhm.
today we've done, what's the third one, I think? And we're
Yeah.
just talk about comics we love. Do you guys like this? Let us know down in the comments below. Tell us what you're thinking about it. Also, if you're interested in coming on and sharing the comics that you are reading that you love, let me know. Those links are down below, Facebook and Twitter, just to see Busby the Third. It's very easy. Contact me and say you want to be on the show, and we'll get in here. We'll let you talk about the books you're reading, because it's really, we think it's fun. We want to talk about the stuff that we're really enjoying, and we'd love for you to join us with that. Now, beyond that, I know that A lot of us don't have time to read as much as we'd like to read. Very busy with life and other responsibilities. But I know I have a big list of things I got to read, specifically from Todd and Denali, actually. So I'm really looking forward to that. You got anything to add before we get out of here today, Todd?
Yeah, that when we're just trying to drive you towards books that you may not have heard about. I'm surprised. Like when you asked Denali, "Oh, have you heard of this?" And he says, "No," I'm like wicked surprised. But
Yeah, well, Denali
Sacred
specifically. Yeah.
Sacred Creatures is not a book that'll let you down. And let me tell you something else about Sacred Creatures. The price is the same on the cover, but the page counts have been really huge on all they've never been the same. So these guys are out for telling you a tale, and they're not going, okay, we have to keep it 28 page. I don't think Klaus Jensen is that uh, he's not deficient in writing. I'm not saying that, but I don't think he thinks that way. I think he just wants to tell you a really good story. And I've noticed that some of these books have been like 38 pages, and the cover price didn't change. So I got to give him credit for that.
Mhm.
I just wanted to add that in there. That's it.
Yeah, well, and I think another thing to add to that is we know a lot of us are not happy with what the big five are doing in general, but doing this review allows us to show that hey, not all the books come out of Marvel, DC, IDW, Image, etc. Are bad. There are good books in there. Now, and I think this is a really good format for demonstrating that, because that one you're talking about is an image book, and people are not very happy with image right now at all. So it's good to know that it's not all bad. There are good things as well. What about you, Janelle? You got last words today, and then just go ahead and take us out.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Yeah, we want to promote positivity as well. So, talking about, you know, we talk about a lot of the authors or writers or artists that we don't, are not professional or we don't like. Let's support and promote and recognize those artists that are doing good stories, telling, are doing what, we're asking for. That way we can kind of show the publisher, say, hey, if you get more of this writer on to these stories, books are selling, or there being more talk about compared to the other ones,
Hmm.
and maybe that would be a positive change as well. So we want to acknowledge the positives as well, and not dwell too much of the negative. Uh, but yeah, I'm interested about, I've heard about Excalibur, but I've never read it. I was poor as a kid, so my money was limited on what I could get or couldn't get. And some other things I wasn't able to do, college life and everything. So I'm always open to reading new comics, like Aquaman. I normally would never have read Aquaman until I started doing FanSpeak, and somebody recommended, hey, I'm reading FanSpeak because it's written by Dan Abernathy. I read it and I enjoyed it, and now I'm kind of hooked on and seeing where it goes.
Yeah.
Um, you know, the I'm not going to say about 43 because 43 is its own, it's kind of reboot setting, but the run from 1 to 42 has been phenomenal. So, and give props to Dan for, writing a solid series for that run.
Yeah.
Writers or artists that stay for a long run like that. So, we got to keep promoting those kind of things. Like if you love that writer and you want that writer to continue writing to that character, we have to kind of show our appreciations for that run as well.
Cool. Well, there you are, guys, and hello, Vailnid. Goodbye, Vailnid. Go ahead and take us out.
All right. But as always, your perception shapes your reality. So always make it a good one.
Namaste. Later, guys. Thanks.
Can I
Aloha.